Hey guys, MaSsan here. Just want to talk about my recent tournament win, Pinnacle 3. Yay, TSM won it finally. Well, not really. It's my third tournament win since I joined the TSM. Anyways, Pinnacle was the 8-player, not necessarily invitational. It has a good invitational and qualifier as well. So they invited 5 players: Colento, me, Doug, Ziso, Gara, and 3 players made out of the invite-only qualifier. I think they invited 32 or 16 players to qualifier, and 4 sent from here as well as the e-community to the main bracket. So essentially, it's a 32 plus 5, 37 player invitational. We'll get to that. So in main bracket, I was in a group with the Gara, Ziso, Colento, and myself, obviously. And the other side of bracket included Doug, Framir, Ecov, and Forsen, whom I thought were slightly less stronger than the people in my group. No offense to them, they just the players that any tournament bracket with Colento, Gara, and Zizo will be favored. And you can throw down Fireband and Striker in there, and that will be the ultimate bracket for anyone who's in that bracket will not be favored. So here's a bracket down here and the playoff bracket as well. So they ran an interesting system where they ran coup system instead of ban system. So coup system is where you ban the decks when you see them playing it instead of banning it beforehand. So you can, it's a little more flexible than ban system, but still you can have just a general guidance, general strategy that you can go into, and then when things don't go too well according to your initial plan, you can change things around a little bit. Yeah, I liked it a lot more than actual ban system, regardless of how it sounds. Although I was really familiar with the ban system. And in Pinnacle 3, I used the 4 decks, which included the Druid, Hunter, Rogue, and Warrior. I didn't pick this particular 4 decks in order. I just picked them according to synergy I have. So I had about 7 decks in my mind. So I picked 4 decks out of the Druid, Hunter, Rogue, Warrior, Shaman, Mage, which is Mech Mage, as well as a priest, actually, which is would be surprising for many other people out there. So no one used the priest in this tournament except for they probably thought about it. And I didn't bring it at the end either. So, and all these decks, despite me having one specific strategy, which was banning Hunter. Mid-range Hunter was a pretty big threat to everything, and a lot of people also bring good number of Rush Hunters, which can be a threat to decks like Rogue or Druid, as well as the Hunter. So yeah, the Hunter ban. I brought the decks according to strategy, but all my decks just generally does so well on ladder. For example, I recently posted on Twitter about my Druid deck win rate, and it had a just insane win rate. You can check it out there. I'll post the image about it. And well, first thing, I'm really glad I finally got to win something since November, right? My last tournament win was the Heroes Cards 2, which also had the players like Colento, RDU, and all those strong players that you can think of. So I guess I'm kind of got used to the tournament scene. I'm so glad because I went to the military for. I was away from the scene for some moment. I came back, and in 2-3 months I started making results. So I'm like, cool, all right. I guess I'm not too far behind. In fact, I'm one of the leading players. So. Very glad. I guess I can talk about decks a little bit and why I chose it. So yeah, any of these 4 decks, you can try them out on later. We can go, since we kind of talked about Druid, and it already tells like the win rate and stuff. The Hunter deck is one made by Senex. It's not my own original deck. I believe he hit rank 1 NA or EU, which I can't remember, about 3 weeks ago or earlier this season, but then and then there were other variations of the decks I could have used, but I really liked this particular version because it felt so well, it synergized so well with my other decks that includes Druid and Warrior. And the Rogue deck is something I came up with my own. Kind of like everyone kind of uses similar list. Some people will put, instead of using Farseer, they will use Antique Killbot. And instead of using Satang Deccan, people will use Shredder. And then instead of using the second sprint, people will use Dr. Boom. And there were about like 10 cards maximum, 5 to 8. I would say not even 10. Cards people use differently, and everyone kind of uses a similar list nowadays. However, I kind of want to bring my attention to this deck because this deck I personally did not do too well on ladder. But then the Kalanto recently decided to just use this deck and hit rank 2 on the Europe server. I believe he stayed there until the end. I could be wrong on it. The Warrior deck is just something that I have been using for a long time. I'm very comfortable playing Control Warrior deck. That is a classic, not the GVG variation. I think the both has a pros and cons. I don't think either one is particularly stronger unless you know what type of the decks the other players are going to bring into tournaments. At least on ladder, I do think the classic ones are better because it can deal with the various situations. It's more a reactive deck in general. So going to the tournaments, I kind of want to talk about how you should be preparing for tournaments if you're the future tournament winner or title holder, or if you just want to get into tournaments and win some possibly money or fame, or just want to beat down your best friends in the tournament format. If the system has a ban, obviously you should think about the ban, what deck you should ban. I mentioned the Hunter deck. I mentioned that I banned the Hunter deck, and Rush Hunters are good against my Druid deck, my Hunter deck, my Rogue deck, and mid-range Hunter decks are good against my Warrior deck. So generally, like, there is one class that will likely to counter pretty much all your decks, depends on what deck they're playing. So you just want to ban that class. In fact, you want to pick your classes according to your ban, but unless you know how to play like 5 to 7 different kind of decks, which I try to focus myself and try to practice all the decks possible except for like 1 or 2 classes. Unless you're at that level, it's gonna be a little difficult. So try to ban a class that will just generally counter. Like if you're not decking, you should know if you read some guides about the deck, or if just based on your experience, start checking your stats. The second thing I want to talk about, I guess, is that you should not pick the deck based on, oh my god, this deck is so good, this guy used it in there and he kind of like broke everyone else and he got rank 1 EU, rank 1 NA. Although I must say my Hunter deck is from the past rank 1 player. It's good to have 1 or 2 decks like that if you don't know too much about the synergies of the cards, or if you don't know too much about the deck building process. However, make sure you practice a lot. I have a Golden Warrior, meaning I have at least 500 wins, and all of them are with classic Control Warrior. And same goes for a Rogue. I always played a Rogue in somewhat or Miracle related decks, and this is one of them, like double sprints instead of the Auctioneer. Pretty similar. Instead of having one single burst damage, Leroy, it has a Tinker's Oil. And I'll always play mid-range Hunter. Same goes for mid-range Druid with the combo. I never was a fan of the Ramp Druid, except for Taunt City deck that you guys will find on my website. And that was just counter metaing deck. It's not specifically for just tournaments or anything. So yeah, make sure you should bring the decks that are comfortable to your taste, and not because, oh my god, this guy hit rank 1. Because someone else hit rank 1 with the specific deck does not mean you'll all be able to do it. And it's not true for everyone, obviously, but it's true for most people, even players. Like I mentioned myself, I wasn't doing too well on ladder with the Rogue deck. I was probably floating somewhere between 300 to 500 ranks with this specific Rogue deck, and Kalanto somehow decides to bring it into Europe server, and he brings in rank 1 player. Rank 2 player, not rank 1. So yeah, I just want to give a brief thought. Thanks for cheering me on, and if you guys watched the event live, that was awesome. I think they had like 50 to 70,000 people watching at some point. And also, this video goes on. Yeah, I want to just have this opportunity to thank you guys, those who've been watching my YouTube. I have officially now have 14,000 subscribers. That's a lot. Like, my YouTube been recently picked up by many other people. I think it had a week ago. I had like 12,000 people subscribed, and now it's 14,000. It's like, oh my god. But yeah, thanks so much for watching me, supporting me. This only reason that I'm doing this is because of you guys watching it. Honestly, like, it all comes down to it. So if you guys have any negative feedback, do feel free to don't be afraid to throw at them. I'm always looking for improvements. I'm upgrading my audio system in some time. I have bought this new like cable for microphone, and I have my new microphone here as well, which costs quite a bit. But so yeah, any feedback is welcome, and just keep on watching. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. MaSsan signing out. Goodbye.